Bit of a brisk and windy morning here at the Hilltop Homestead. Seems the race against winter is officially underway. Got a whole crew coming out today. Gonna see if we can get the old girl wrapped up in a sexy new coat. So we went with DuraClad. It's a West Form product, but it's metal cladding for the side of your building. So very, very tough product, hard for anything to get into the wall cavity or even climb that wall cavity. Now the benefit from it too is it protects your house from potential heat issues, i.e. a little brush fire or something like that, right? If you put on conventional wood siding, well, that's just generally gonna burn, right? So that metal cladding gives you another protective layer on that one. Plus the longevity of it, the paint finish, it's a 40, 50 year product, right? For the finish, and the product's still gonna really benefit you beyond that if you didn't care about the finish. So it's a very, very tough, goes on fast, it's a productive product, and yeah, it has a certain cost to it, but I think the cost is worth it. We're dealing with what I like to call the sins of others. Maybe not the most square building. Most things aren't lined up exactly where they should be. You know, these are little checks and balances that you really make sure, because every step you make echoes down the line for everything else you're doing. So one little mistake can cost you hours and time, money, materials, right? We start with putting on a bottom drip flashing. So that just finishes off where the bottom of the panel will go to. And then at the top, we would install what's called the J flashing. So that caps the top of your panel. So it hides any of those not finished cuts. And then essentially you're installing this, what we're doing is a 14'6" wall, and we put up one 3-foot wide panel and screw it off with purpose-made fasteners, and we achieve a lot of square footage in a short amount of time.
Can you believe how nice of a day it is today? We have been battling real deal winter for the last week and a half, but today's the big day. If everything goes good, we should be able to officially finish siding the house, and then we're ready for real deal winter.
We also like to try to highball our install with pre-screwing our panels, and then you just line them up and you install them right away across the board, which also brings efficiency into guys putting screws in, guys also not scratching the panels at the same time. If you're trying to push through some steel, easy enough to make a dent, scratch, all that kind of stuff. So first thing I'd say, do you want to do the build? Should you do the build, or should you hire the build out? Because it's a very daunting thing, right? You know, they have a dream and they want to see it through and don't have the confidence in to take on the project themselves and putting out a lot of money. It's all these factors. It's an expensive project, even on a smaller scale. It, you know, for what we're seeing there for your project, if they started right from scratch, it's tens of thousands of dollars in the hope that you're going to end up with something, not just a house of cards that's going to fall over at the end of the day. I would definitely steer more people towards getting a contractor. There's good contractors like me out there. A lot of times people just are asking questions. Can I do this? Can I do that? And generally most of the time I'm just happy to give people forward direction on what they want to do.
Can you believe the progress and transformation we've seen here in the early stages at Lot 32? We've gone from an abandoned trash heap to a very usable structure. We've got access with the new driveway. We've got landscaping. We've got the brine pit filled in. We got our utilities room built. We have new roof, new soffitting, new fascia, new windows, new doors, and new siding. Absolutely exceptional job from everyone that's come out and helped so far, and it's left us with an exceptional product to move forwards with. Now it's time to do our first walk around and walk through. So we'll start here with the outside. You're gonna notice there's just a couple of things that still need to be buttoned up, just miscalculations on my end when I ordered supplies, but easy peasy. For example, this end cap should be one of these on there, but that'll happen here shortly. Let's take a look in the utilities room. I saw your comments and you guys were so right. I should have insulated this and put in the interior plywood before the tanks. The tanks had to go in before this wall because the door is smaller than the tanks, but this should have been done prior. I had to do this once the roof and everything was on, and it was a massive pain in my behind. The roof still needs to be insulated. That'll happen here shortly. I'll tell you, I've helped with cladding before, the same stuff, DuraClad. I thought it was going to be a pretty easy undertaking. It takes a lot of experience to do this stuff correctly. If you take a look up here at these angles, the way everything's folded over, first of all, aesthetically, it looks great, but all of that serves a purpose, and it's all done in a way that sheds the water out, doesn't allow it behind your siding. So, like, this is a drip sill right here. It has a tab that folds down, so the water comes down, and then it runs down here and off. There's no way for it to get in behind the siding. All this stuff is so important for longevity, and I don't think I could have pulled it off, especially in this time frame, by myself. So really happy to have that professional help. It's also been interesting transitioning from a rig build to a fixed home build because it goes together so differently. I'm used to building a rig where you're building it in a way that can handle rattling down thousands of kilometers of dirt road. That just isn't necessary with a home. And it's fascinating watching this come together because the early stages just don't look very good. And then you go into the final stages, the fascia and the trim, and it just pulls everything together so nicely. For example, the soffitting. This is a heavy duty steel soffitting that we used specifically for pest prevention, and when it was first kind of just screwed into place, it didn't look great. And then we put everything else on and it sucks it up there nice and tight and just looks fantastic, and it's going to serve its purpose perfectly. This back wall, I really hummed and hawed about whether or not I wanted to put a window in there, and honestly I could care less to see out the back, but it would be nice to break up this big chunk of black. But I think once there's some grass and some other things, and the water truck is going to live here, I think it's going to break that up just fine and look quite nice. Coming around this side, this is one of the things we didn't quite have time to finish because we ran out of J trim to get up along the top there, but that's very minor. I actually like the look of that two-tone, but it'll get covered up. moving around. I really like the look of these windows. This is gonna have some just aesthetic pieces of wood put in there. But let's take a look inside. Not a whole lot has changed inside here. This window is still the same as when I bought the place. This was a picture window before, and I wanted to slide in there just because this place in the summertime, it will be hot, and I'm not gonna put an air conditioner in here, so air movement was very important. So I wanted this to be able to open, and that one. The new door, really happy with this. Nice big window on there. Now let's go upstairs. This is where, in my opinion, things get very exciting. Funny enough, my dad even had commented, "You didn't show us the view out the window in that video." So here we are. I am just so happy about this. The GoPro's not gonna do a great job with the heavy contrast in here, but the view is so nice, and it's a really unique view in here. So right now I'm standing right in the middle. You can't see this close riverbank or the far one. You can see the tree, but all you can really see is just the water going by. It's a very unique view. I've never seen something like this anywhere else. Coming over here to where the bed is gonna be, I have a beautiful view all the way up the Fraser River Valley. When we were first looking into the windows, we really didn't know how this was gonna work out because all there was one small window. Right here, you can see the old framing for it. And we thought there might be too much interference with the bottom of the roof. You can't see it at all. Worked out just perfectly. The only kind of issue that we had with the windows is I really wanted this to be glass and then slide like that. And I thought I'd be able to just flip this one over. But when you flip these windows, this will actually fall out of the track. It's meant to it's meant to slide in this track, right? And it's just held in there with gravity. So when you flip it over, it goes up and the whole thing falls out. So that was the only kind of hiccup with the windows. Not a big deal. With these exterior jobs pretty well buttoned up, it's time to push our focus to the interior. And even though the weather has drastically warmed up today, it is still very much winter and it's gonna get worse. This area experiences -20 to -45 pretty frequently throughout the winter. So we need to get some heat inside so we can work in there. So I'm prioritizing the installation of the wood stove, which I am incredibly excited about, but pretty nervous because this installation has to happen in a very specific way so that it's safe and up to code. But it also involves cutting a big hole in my beautiful new siding, which I'm not very excited about. But I've been doing my research and I think I'm at least pretty well prepared. As well, Emmy is here from Japan and excited to get involved in some of these building jobs instead of just cleanup. So today we're firing up the old Ford, gonna go into town for supplies. I'll tell you, I have been loving this old Ford, but she is a little bit grumpy. She needs some more tuning, which I don't have time for right now, but she can certainly make a supplies run, no problem. Jeez, hard to say she's grumpy when she fires up like that. It's gonna be interesting getting the Ford up to the highway today. The old two-wheel drive is gonna be just spinning on this ice. Well, I think the condition of the highway is gonna be totally fine, and the road up to the highway also not too bad. There's only just one hill that I worry about, and it's coming up. Would you look at this potential countertop on sale for $100? We might have to drive away with it. Perfect. Off to Western Wood Heat. Let's go and pick up the wood stove. And we'll drop off that countertop to me. Not ready for this piece of wood quite yet, but for $100, that will make a beautiful countertop slash table. Don't want to talk about it too much yet because I don't want to give anything away. But I've been slowly collecting things in the early stages of this build that I'm going to need later on. One of which I'm excited about is the cutest little fireplace. Come on, baby! Oh yeah! Best way to install a stove is to purchase one piece of chimney material from everywhere in town that sells chimney material. Well, if everything goes even halfway as planned, today should be the last day of using the propane heater. And we're ready for the big stove reveal. I've been so excited about this little stove. Look at it.
Hi. Cute.
Yeah! Okay. I want it to go with a proper wood stove, not a cubic mini, just because those cubic mini stoves, they're literally just a iron box that you put wood in. So they're not very efficient, and I can't believe the smallest proper stove that I could find is still quite large in here. We had a pretty good layout of how we wanted everything in here. It's a little tighter than we thought, so we're rethinking our layout, but this is basically where the stove is going to live. Right here we had the option of either coming out in between these studs or these ones, and in the grand scheme of things it's going to be better here, probably up on a little pedestal or something, but it's bigger than I thought. The problem we're having right now is this is the piece that's going to be passing through the wall, and it's the shortest one available in Williams Lake. It's 2 feet long, and with the clean out and everything, that's going to put our chimney way off the side of the wall. So in Quesnel, like an hour north of here, there is one 12-inch piece in stock, so we're going to go get it.
I think my favorite part to taking on a big new project like this is getting to learn big new things. I'm in a very fortunate position with items such as the siding that I get to learn firsthand from highly skilled and trained professionals, and the end result is a near perfect product. Going into this stove installation, the end result also needs to be a near perfect product, because an improper installation, worst case scenario, can result in a house fire. This being my first wood stove install, I really researched going into it, and I can't believe how much we've learned and how many mistakes we've made just getting this far. As you can see, we do have at least a good start on this installation, but with the amount of people starting to utilize these build series videos to plan and prepare for their own build, I'm gonna push the installation video into next week, just so I'm not skipping any of these steps, because there's some pretty important ones. And the instructions that come with these aren't really adequate, I don't think. So let's get right into our weekly cost breakdown. First of all, great big thank you to Mike with Cost Corp and Paul with Neutral Roofing. Those guys are here in town, but they work in areas all across British Columbia. So if you're in BC looking for a contractor and you need the job done right, I'll have their information linked in the description below. Big thank you to those guys. So the
cladding, all of the siding and the J trim ordered in from West Form was $2,740. Mike supplied the softening, Paul supplied the fascia and some other flashing, so we'll chalk some extra C notes on top of that. So our overall cost this week, approximately $3,500. The prices for the stove, we're also gonna push into next week because at this point in time, I have like $1,000 in products sitting over here that need to be returned just because we've had to do trips back and forth from town to get things that were either missed or different from what we thought we needed. But I think we have a pretty good grasp on things now, and by next week, we should be enjoying our first cozy fire in the new cabin. From myself here at Lot 32, thanks for watching, everybody.